Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived an old lady. She was very old, with silver hair and a face full of wrinkles, but her eyes were bright and filled with kindness. Everyone in the village loved her because she always seemed happy, even when life was hard. She lived alone in a little house near the big banyan tree. Her husband had passed away many years ago, and she had no children to care for her, but she never complained. Every morning, she would sit under the banyan tree, smiling at everyone who passed by. People in the village loved talking to her because her words were always warm and comforting, like a soft blanket on a cold night. The villagers worked hard to make a living. Some were farmers who tilled the land, some were carpenters crafting furniture, and others worked in the small market selling fruits, vegetables, or clothes. But life was not easy. Sometimes the rains wouldn't come, and the crops would dry up. Other times people fell sick and couldn't work. Many villagers lived with worry and sadness, but the old lady's smile never faded. One day, a young woman named Priya came to visit her. Priya's face was full of tears, and her voice trembled as she spoke. "I don't know what to do, Grandma," she said. "My husband has gone to the city to find work, but he hasn't sent any money. My children are hungry, and I'm scared. What if something bad has happened?" The old lady looked at Priya with her gentle eyes and smiled softly. "Sit down, my child," she said, patting the ground beside her. "Tell me, what do you think will happen?" Priya wiped her tears with the edge of her sari and replied, "I don't know, Grandma. I feel like everything is going wrong. What if my husband can't find work? What if he forgets about us? What if we have nothing to eat?" The old lady listened patiently and then shook her head gently. "Priya, when we fill our minds with bad thoughts, our hearts grow heavy and everything feels worse. But when we think good thoughts, our hearts feel lighter, and sometimes good things begin to happen." Priya looked at her doubtfully. "But how can I think good thoughts when everything around me is so bad?" The old lady smiled again. "Let me tell you a story," she began. "Once there was a poor man who had nothing. He had no food, no money, and no family. He sat by the river one day, crying bitterly. An old woman passing by saw him and stopped. She asked, 'Why are you crying, my son?' The man said, 'I have nothing. How can I ever be happy?' The old woman smiled and said, 'You have the river, which flows endlessly. You have the trees, which give shade and fruit. You have the sun, which warms you every day. Look around you. There is beauty and life everywhere. If you only think about what you don't have, you will always be sad. But if you think about what you do have, you will find peace.' The man listened.